Hello, we're still here. We are on our
26.
28. We had 3 hours
28.
sleep, but I think now I wish we hadn't really. Well, I don't know. We're struggling. But
all right,
we
all
have
right.
got a lovely, lovely guest joining us now. It is Dr. Chan Abraham. I had the honour of interviewing him about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Fantastic.
Hello, Dr. Chan.
Good afternoon. Ladies, just because you have been up as long as you have, I can tell you it's 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. So well done. I have to say, I take my hat off. Well, I haven't got my hat on, but if I did, I would take it off to you. I think you are doing an amazing job. You're a pride of lionesses, actually. And I think there are some very frightened people around. We're just waiting to wake up the lions too.
We do. I mean, we've had some very amazing, the guests that we've had on has been incredible, and all with so much information. Even like, we've had the celebs, we've had the guys with the big followers, but then we've had local people who are supporting the cause. We've had people from America, from all walks of life in America as well. We've had the people with the big platforms, and we had like Christine Minor. She's just a concerned grandparent of what's going on. We've had everyone from
We've had a mixed bag,
and we haven't really doubled up on the information that we're giving. So I'm really proud of what we've done, and with the guests that we've managed to get on board with this.
Really well, considering we haven't got, we're not the BBC.
We don't have any funding, and we've managed to pull it together, and we're all found this common ground that we've all got to protect the children. And you've done loads.
Yeah.
You've set up conferences where you've had Kimberly to speak. They came to a garden party of yours. I remember speaking to you guys when you were on your way up. Up there. So let's get the listeners who are tuning in to us for the first time and haven't seen you or know about you, give us a little bit of info about you and what you do, Dr. Chan.
Yes, certainly, Lou. So hi, Lou. Hi, Kat. It's great to see you. And if you fall asleep while I'm talking, don't worry. I'll just carry on. Just you relax. But so hi to all of your viewers and listeners. I think it's great that there are people who are on. My background is varied. It's been in business. I've set up companies to buy local authority housing stock in order to give people who are very economically disadvantaged, who have no hope in life, hope for a better future. And I've done that. And I've come up against the system and the establishment because of that, because there are people, frankly, who don't like you to succeed just by using honesty, integrity, and valuing people. With Mandy, my wife, we've set up churches. Yesterday, we were in Peterborough in Cathedral Square, singing live and sharing with people songs of hope and joy and peace. And lots of people came up and wanted to know more. Some people asked for special requests. Someone asked me, could I sing a song by Whitney Houston? The only one I know by her is the Dolly Parton one from The Bodyguard. And I wasn't going to do that. So that was great. And in addition to running churches, our focus has been in the last few years trying to get people to understand the truth about what's going on and to know that it is possible for us to build a better future than the build back better brutes who have been influencing and controlling things. So people often ask me, what am I a doctor of? Well, my passion is about leadership. So you can see Leadership International in the background. But really, as well as wanting to get great leaders to rise up in our nation and across the world, what I call a renaissance of leadership, I'm really a doctor of inspiration. My job is to inspire and encourage and to help people to know that every day we get out of bed, we can say something good is going to happen to me today, and to begin to look for the silver lining that there is in every cloud. So however long you give me, I hope that at the end of this, all of your listeners and viewers, and both of you two ladies, I hope I'll give you a natural caffeine boost of joy and inspiration.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, how did you first come upon Public Child Protection Wales?
Well, Kat and the crew turned up in my garden. We had about 80 or 90 people here on the 24th of July a couple of years ago. And basically, we'd opened this up to people who wanted to be part of just a program of sharing what was going on. So there were some politicians, Paul Diamond, who you know very well, he's a friend of mine, he came along, David Curtin, who heads up the Heritage Party, and a lot of other people who are standing against the popular narrative, the woke narrative, the narrative of the West, the Western world, really, and of the left. And among them was Kat and Kimberly and Lucia. And I think you had a lovely afternoon. You enjoyed my barbecue, I think.
Brilliant. It was brilliant.
Barbecue. And we had a great time. And that was our first exposure, really, to and what you're doing, because we didn't know about it. And that, I think, is part of the challenge. We have got to get beyond all this cancellation. I mean, I know I'm being shadow banned. I'm on various social media, and I try and avoid using words which might create a situation where the algorithms pick us up. But there are people who will report on us. You know, there are folk who are telling the authorities, oh, you don't want to listen to them. So that's how I came across the team. And I found that really inspirational, and we wanted to get behind supporting you. Mandy and I have 5 small grandchildren, aged from 9 to 2 3/4. So we are absolutely certain that these evil people who are running the show are not going to win. Part of the challenge, those waking parents up. Young parents, you know, we've been parents ourselves, and it's a challenging life. You just somehow, at times, you're just keeping body and soul together. Challenging the school authorities is another thing altogether. So we have to find ways in which we can equip people to do that. So yeah, so that's a slightly long answer, but that's how I came across the team. And I'm looking to see the Welsh Dragon rise and for the dominoes to fall right across the British Isles as a result of what you will win in Wales.
Yeah, and I absolutely think that is, you know, one of the main things we've been trying to point out. Like you say, you know, not a lot of people do know about it. And I think initially, because we took the judicial review in Wales, most people, a lot of people from England had thought the same as well. You know, they'd say things like, oh, Wales, you need to sort it out, and this, that, and the other, not realising that this education wasn't just you know, we might have brought the fight in Wales, but actually the lesson content was in every single one, because we all signed up to the same one in 2017, all 4 UK government. So it is definitely about raising awareness. It's like we keep saying, we do have to raise the funds, the legal funds, obviously, but we need if we had the awareness it really deserved and needed, we wouldn't even be needing to do this podcast-athon, because it would have been resolved a long time ago. So it is about getting that word out to people about and exposing what they are doing in the schools, which is abhorrent.
Yeah. I'll share something with you which may be interesting to your listeners. So just in that fateful year that there was this pandemic, I wrote this book, and my intention was to send it to every member of the government. 6 steps to save a nation, making progress on the road to renewal. And that's available. It's very inexpensive on Amazon. And I believe that what we're talking about here today about children is one of those key steps. The entire process of education, the way in which children are not being educated, they are now being indoctrinated into a way of life that has been it's a road that's been well traveled by communists since the earliest days. And it is extraordinary that although a particular group of people in 1939 were not able to overrun freedom, democracy, and Britain, they've invaded by stealth over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
And we've not been alert to it. We've not been aware of it. And one key area has been the way in which the education system has been taken over, not just in schools, but in universities as well. So universities are run almost entirely by left-wing people, and they will say abhorrent things like, you can't have Christmas, you can't talk about Christmas as a member of faculty because that will offend people. Well, it won't offend anybody to talk about Christmas or Easter, but they've won that war of words. And so part of our challenge is about beginning to change the way people think by telling them the truth. And part of that is what you in Public Child Protection Wales are doing, because you are exposing some of the extraordinary things that children are being told. I mean, things that actually shouldn't be talked about in any setting at all. They're the sorts of things that people should be discussing in private by consent. Well, children have no ability to consent to what they're being told about. And if parents are kept out of being told what is on the curriculum, then it means that a tyrant is ruling what is going on in the educational system. Hey, we didn't say that's our nation. We're free people, and we want to make sure that our voices are heard. And I think the great sadness is that so few people, that it's fallen on the shoulders of such a small number of people. And here you are, you ladies have given up your sleep to do what you're doing. And may God bless you and grant you favor. May the resources come in, and may we win not only the battle, but the war too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we spoke to Ronnie Herman from Canada last night, and the things that are going over there, they're making children. It was Canada, wasn't it, where they were making them sign contracts?
No, it wasn't Canada.
Andy Heasman.
Ireland. No. Oh, somebody's. It was Canada, was it?
It was Canada. So yeah, Ronnie Herman from SOGI over in Canada, SOGI Task Force, she's a school teacher, and before she left, the Canadian government were making children sign contracts that they won't be discussing what they're being taught in school with their parents. What do you think of that?
That intervention, which is preventing parents from what only a parent can do, which is to protect what goes into their children's minds, is absolutely abhorrent. So it's against natural law, it's against common law, and it's against our constitution. And the tragedy about what's happening in Britain is that so many parents are still not awake to what is happening. I'd like to think that as soon as parents know, the majority of parents know what is being poured into their children's minds, there will be an uprising. There will be a revolution, a bloodless revolution. We want to keep within the law, but we want to make sure their voices are heard. So, yeah, Canada is leading the way in so many respects. And Justin Trudeau is seen as being the anointed son of Klaus Schwab. He's his favorite. So that tells us everything about what's going on there. I believe we still have hope here. Now, when we saw Andrew Bridgen being pilloried recently in the House of Commons and now expelled from his political party, that tells us how much cowardice there is amongst politicians.
Yeah.
So the challenge really is up to every one of us to start writing to and flooding politicians with our concern. Now, our local politician our local MP who's not been reselected by the Conservative Party is a chap called Jonathan Ginogly. He's been here 25 years. I know him very well. He took over from John Major, if you remember who that was.
Yeah.
Failed Prime Minister of Great Britain. And unfortunately, Jonathan's not being much better. My wife writes to him regularly and has challenged him. And he just comes out with some government line about whatever she's challenging him on. My belief is that there's no way around this. We've just got to put the pressure on people and keep it going. Because ultimately, it's like a small child. If you're having to deal with a small child, whose will is stronger, the parent or the child? It's the child. Unless if your child is crying, unless you put them in a bath, and I don't suggest we do that, you've got to find other ways of managing them. Children's wills are very strong. We've got to show evil people that our will to protect children, our children, which is really our future and the future of humanity,
Mm.
our will is greater than their refusal to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's getting to that point anyway. And I think, again, it comes down to people not realizing, and you know, we've said it a few times tonight, is if the parents really understood what was going on in those classrooms, we wouldn't have an issue. We really wouldn't. And that's why we're highly censored. Anything to do with Public Child Protection Wales or Liberty Tactics, actually, as well, and
That's
our
terrible.
personal accounts. Even earlier that we couldn't share the live stream. So the live stream was posted on Facebook. Anyone trying to share that live stream was just coming up saying we can't perform this action at the moment, nor allowing people to share it. So that's their only attack at the moment, is silence.
Silence, and making sure nothing's seen. We've been under attack for years. Liberty Tactics has. We're the only UK place podcast to interview General Flynn, you know, and nothing gets seen. It's insanity. It's the censorship is just wrong. It's actually laughable, and we're all under it. I mean, Jason's just given up, really, haven't you, Jace?
No.
On the Facebook though, with the you're always just banned.
2 days not banned.
It's
3 months
pointless,
banned.
isn't it? When it's not pointless, but it's frustrating.
I think I had 6 30-day bans last year on Facebook.
Yeah, I had loads the year before. I was only on there for about 9 months out of the 12. It is absolutely shocking, the censorship, and it's a difficult one to beat because all
What
the
can
tech,
we do?
the big tech corporations, they got all the power and they can just stop anything at any time. Going, it's really difficult.
And we've got Truth Social and there's Getter, but they very, very much kind of on the American political kind of agenda, which is great because we cover so much of the American agenda, but it's very difficult, to get noticed. We've got about 1,000 on Getter and 500 on Truth Social,
and even on those,
and Twitter, they never gave us our Twitter account back. We got thrown off of there 2 years ago now for the Dr. Ardis and the snake venom interview. They shut us down there. That's what I'm saying. That was a very interesting time because that is the ultimate crime. That was the original sin, wasn't it? The venom, the snake in the garden, and then they found the old evidence that there is venom in it. But that's the show for another day. Censorship is hard, and it's hard to work around. So any tips on how
to not be censored,
and how more, to get the word out about public child protection was, and make this a movement? As we keep saying, there's all this money pushed behind this disgusting agenda, and there's a group of 5 families who are really challenging it. And yes, there are other groups around the country, in Scotland, all over the place, but these 5 parents have got further than anybody else. It's just to get this active and get people active, working against this, I can't even speak now, I'm so tired, agenda. Over to you, Dr. Chan.
Let me just take it for a few minutes so you can draw breath. I have to say, you
find my mind.
Don't just remember anything. So first of all, there is a law of the universe, which is that as you light a candle, the darkness has to go. It doesn't matter how dark the darkness is, just one little glimmer of light. As you strike a match or you light that candle, there is an expulsion of the darkness. Now, there also seems to be a principle in life that I've seen, because I've had huge challenges in all sorts of areas, that the darkness tries to push back. And that's what we're in at the moment. I don't want to give platitudes because it doesn't look like we're winning in so many areas. Look what happened in the US in 2019, look what happened in 2020, look what happened last year, and the nonsense that's going on in number 10, and then in a few days' time we've got someone who's going to have something put on his head, and
don't get me started on that.
Three after him, but he was the one who announced the Great Global Reset. So you cannot actually be in that role if you've sold your people down the line. That's just natural law and common law principle. So first point, so tonight at 6:00, I'll be leading an online prayer meeting, which I do every Sunday evening. We share communion. For those people who are watching who are followers of Jesus, it means we remember what happened on the first Good Friday, what happened on the first Easter Sunday. And it's what followers of Jesus draw as strength for the way in which we live. That's what enables me to get out of bed every morning and say something good is going to happen to me today in Jesus' name. And we then go into the day. So prayer is the starting point for me, because if I can have communication with the supreme power in the universe, who's God Almighty, who has revealed himself to us in Jesus Christ, then I know that whatever happens, however bad it gets, however dark it gets, Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness. Now, communism destroyed millions of people's lives, millions. And they thought that this God would never fall, the hammer and the sickle. Guess what? 70 years later, a complete period of time in biblical Hebrew terms, it fell. You know, you all, well, you're just young things. You don't even remember this. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, said Ronald Reagan. And that's what he did. But you know what? Communism fled, but it's the spirit behind it came into the West through what we now recognize as cultural Marxism.
Yeah.
So everything that we are experiencing now that is exactly what was experienced by totalitarian control under communist regimes. But throughout all of that period of time, people they maintained the resistance, especially the resistance of faith. And men like Alexander Solzhenitsyn and others wrote, they got their stories out one way or another. And we've got many more resources available to us to do that. So my recommendation is that everybody tells everybody else. And wherever I go, Mandy and I have been out walking in one of our local woods. On a Sunday, we go out prayer walking. And I did 2 lives on social media because it's the bluebell season. And it's so inspirational to see the beauty of creation and design. And I always say, well, if there's a wonderful design, there has to be a designer. If there's a wonderful creation, there has to be a creator. And that's gone out live. But while people were walking around and we chat with them, I immediately got talking to them about what's going on with central bank digital currency. I said, you don't want to give up cash. Now, it doesn't matter whether they want to hear it or not. That moment in time,
anyway,
they are my captive audience. And I'll be at a checkout and I'll be saying to people, do you know what these cameras are for? They're not to look at what you're doing down there. They're to look at your face. Yeah. And so what we need is every person to step out of their comfort zone. And here's the thing, the more we do it, the more we light the candle, the more the darkness goes. So the more we speak, the greater our quantity of courage. So the 2 of you, I hope and pray, are reaching thousands and millions today. We want everybody who hears this message to make up their minds. This is the CTA, the call to action, to say, right, throughout this week, whoever I meet, wherever I meet them, even if for 10 seconds, I'm going to say to them something or the other. Now, in this case, it may be, I'm going to say to them, do you know what's going on in Wales and what they do to the children and how we're going to bring these evil people down? Or something really sexy like that really draws people in. You know, we have to speak in sound bites. That's the other clue.
Yes. Yeah, I agree
very
with that.
short phrases. Learn a few phrases. Maybe write a few down. Put them on your palm. And if it's a man, you might say something appropriate. If it's a woman, you might say something else. And find ways of challenging people and really getting them to think as soon as you get behind that. Because British people, especially English people, now you're Welsh, Kat, and are you English, Lou?
I'm English and I'm a quarter Welsh. My grandmother was from Merthyr.
Well, there you go. But English people particularly are very reserved, aren't they?
Yes.
Really reserved. And it's something to do with the weather. Because we have such terrible weather, it kind of makes us depressed and reserved. So you've got to get them out of that reserve. You've got to be a bit more Mediterranean or American. You know, in 1942, when the Americans first came over to this country to help fight the war, they sent all these GIs over. And Americans have a different way of doing things from Brits. And what the Brits used to say about American soldiers is they're overpaid, they're oversexed, and they're over here. and that was a description of Americans. So with the Brits, and especially English people, we've got to get round their reserve, and the next thing is we've got to get past their apathy. Now, if you said to someone, oh look, they're going to take away our freedoms, that doesn't register with them. I know that because we've talked to people in the streets about it.
We did.
You've got to find something that's a bit more shocking, and whatever that is in the context. And you might even have to say a little white lie. I've just heard, did you get the text that there's about to be a nuclear fallout? You've got their attention. Or worse than that, did you know they're never going to screen any more sitcoms at all? The BBC is going to cut them, so you won't have any. I don't know what's on in terms of, is it EastEnders or any of those? Something that will get people's attention. Or did you know that I've just heard that from Friday, the government is banning all toilet paper in view of the environmental hazards of chopping down trees. And I don't know what we're going to do now. So you've got to be a bit shocking to get past the apathy. And then you say, look, I'm only joking, but can I just, because they might laugh nervously. And then you've got to come in and tell them something that will then grab their attention. And the last thing is perhaps have a little piece of paper with Child Protection Wales, with the website, the logo. If everyone can just do that, postcard size, hand them out wherever we go and get the information out and say things like, you won't hear this anywhere else because they're banning us. Some slogan that really gets people, because the other thing that British people do is they support the underdog, and we've got to get their sympathy. Their sympathy could be greater than their apathy.
That's an interesting point, but
Well, I mean, we certainly are the underdog going up, Public Child Protection Wales for 4 families, 5 families. Definitely
against the Welsh government.
Up against the Welsh, and or the likes of Soros and all these other big corporations that want the worst for our children, to snatch away their innocence.
And they got just trillions of pounds invested as well. The amount of money pumped behind these lobbying groups is insane.
Do you know, when you have that, and I understand that, and I don't want to pretend that it's not there, but there are so many true stories that are recorded in the Bible that really help us. And the greatest of all is the story of David against Goliath.
Yeah, we say that, don't we?
That's all we've been saying all weekend,
it
actually.
is literally like that. It is. That's what it feels like.
Not have happened. All the odds were against him. And what the difference was, it was nothing to do with his sling or the stone or his skill or anything else. It was a combination of his faith and the fact that he put his faith in someone who was bigger than the biggest giant. And I want to tell you this here and now. Mark my words. These giants are going to fall. They are going to fall because the people who are fighting this battle against evil are fighting for truth and righteousness. And most important, we're fighting for children. And Jesus said, if anyone does anything nasty to these little ones, it would be better if a huge stone from a windmill or a mill were grinding grain was hung round their necks and they were thrown into the sea. So when we pray tonight, one of the things we'll be praying for is about your work. And we do pray about that regularly and frequently. And I think you need to be encouraged that you are not alone. And not only are you with the group that you're with and many others, but the entirety of the angelic host, God's heavenly messengers, soldiers of heaven, who far outnumber any multi-billionaires, and God has far greater resources. He is the one who's resourcing you. So be encouraged. Public Child Protection Wales 2020 is going to have victories in 2023, because this is a year of new things, and we're going to see some spectacular things happening.
I mean, so with the first and second podcast on, we were both blown away because yourself, you came on this, it was Sid Caudle, wasn't it? And somebody else prayed over the show. I think it was
Mary
Tocco, who does a lot over in America. And we were really humbled that people are actually, looking out for us, and don't understand how much that meant to us at the time. I don't know if it would have meant as much a few years ago as what it did
Yeah, I know exactly
over that
what you're
weekend.
saying.
It
Yeah.
was
It was
incredible.
extremely humbling, wasn't it? And we just get it at demos and things as well. And it's like, can I pray for you? Yes, of course you can.
Yeah.
Because it is important.
It's power, and it's so powerful.
And we've got an event coming up, Dr. Chan, as well. I forgot about this. We
Oh
didn't mention
gosh,
it, did we?
yes.
We've mentioned it a few times, but not recently. On May the 17th, which is Wednesday, that's question time, isn't it? In
Prime Minister's question time.
Prime Minister's question time. So we've got, is it Parliament Square?
Parliament Square, yeah.
A demo up in Parliament Square on the 17th of May. And obviously we've got a massive coach load coming from South Wales that are going to go up for the demo. And we're hoping to, unite people. There'll be a few speakers. David Curtin's actually speaking as well.
Yeah, Lawrence Fox said today live on air that he will be attending as well to speak. Who else?
Kim, Lucia, myself, and
yeah.
Adele. And I think so. Yeah, if just to let you know, really, that we've got that on the 17th of May, and we would really love. It would be great if there were thousands of people there, but I just don't know how it never seems
With
to
the children
work out like
rallies,
that.
it doesn't seem to.
No.
You want to open borders and what have you. They'll be there in the millions, won't they?
Well, Kimberly mentioned it to me in a message, and that was the first I'd heard about it. So I think one of the things we certainly need to do is, if there is, I don't know whether you've produced any publicity by way of a poster or a flyer, but certainly we need to get that out. I can put that out through all my networks, and that's the power of multiplication, isn't it? That's what I was speaking of earlier.
Yeah.
One person takes it and sends it on to another 10.
Exactly.
That's how things begin to be covered. So I did say to her, just let me, if she could let me know what the schedule is, because she said, could we meet up sometime over that period? Because you're in, I think, together for about 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, that's right,
We're going
yeah.
up on the 16th, coming home on the 18th. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you probably
that'd be great.
don't want to say publicly where you are, but I'd said to her, let me know where you are, and I will try and get up. We'll try and get up for the demo if possible. I need to just try and work some things out, but to get up and really just to have a bit of a chat, because she said it'd be good if we can catch up properly.
Yeah.
Because the last time I saw you, ladies, I was too busy barbecuing and filling people's glasses up with wine. As a host, so it would be good to talk and see how we can move things forward. And there are a few questions I wanted to ask just about practical things with the court case, because that's also really helpful. Information is power, and power is knowledge shared. So when people know what's happening, it means that if they're Christians, they can be, even if they're not, if they're people of prayer, they can be praying, or they can be holding you in their thoughts. So I often say to people, keep us informed about exactly where things are at. That's just a simple principle just of marketing, isn't it? Tell people what they need to hear and keep telling them. And that way you'll not just keep the audience motivated, but it means that people will be aware of what's going on. So it's stuff like that I'd like to hear about. The other thing that we've been thinking about, Mandy and I, is that in our own area, which is Huntingdon and Cambridgeshire, so many parents do not know what's going on. So we've been thinking about the need to have a mega conference in this area specifically for parents and for people who are involved with children's work, church leaders, and so on. So we'd really want you to come for that, because you're the torchbearers and no one can tell the story like you do. So that's something just to bear in mind, share among yourselves, because that will be one way of beginning to really break in. And so I'm looking at something big that really will begin.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Lines. Unfortunately, we'll end up triggering the enemy as well, but we have ways of dealing with that.
Right, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's everyday occurrence. So we've got a few more guests lined up for the rest of the day. Then we've got some films. So Kat and I will be bouncing in at the very close on the final hour. It might be pre-recorded, to be fair, because give us a due. It's like, how many hours have we done now? Coming up to 30 hours.
Yeah.
Broadcasting with just 3 hours sleep. I mean, we were up as well Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, so we are hanging. We're going to keep going because this is a very.
It's not long now.
It's not long. We've got through over the hurdles, and we're holding it together. I've nearly gone a couple of times even just now, but Kat wasn't able to spot it, so that's why we sailed through.
Well, ladies, well done, and to all your team, to Rick and Jason, and I don't know who's behind.
We've got Yvonne and Rhiannon's here. Rhiannon's put us all up, fed us, watered us. She's been an absolute angel. So
Yeah.
thank you. And obviously Yvonne went out on the street yesterday with Jason. So we played that video out yesterday. It was like a little 18-minute video, different reactions from people in Cardiff. It's very interesting.
Yeah, very much.
Jason hasn't been on screen actually. He's fast. I think he's asleep at the moment.
He's not.
No,
He's hanging though. He's hanging it in there.
I nearly did.
On the assumption that we're coming towards a close, I want to just say something to encourage you. And you can't get these publicly, but when I see you, I'm going to give you these as gifts. It's another 2 books I've written. This is called the Thoughts and Reflections on the Road to Renewal. It's a little book. A lot of people keep this by their bedside, and they're little quotations from people you recognize, and there's some of mine. That was the first one I wrote. And the second one was called Further Thoughts and Reflections on the Road to Renewal. What's going on there? There we go.
It's just screaming.
We can talk about, we've had a few lighting issues.
Yeah, so it's probably mine at this end actually, but it's the road to renewal. That's what I want to emphasize. The road that we are on is a road to renewal. It is not possible for the evil things that are happening in this world to continue unabated permanently. That's the reality of it. It is an unshakable law of the universe. In the Chronicles of Narnia, it's what Aslan calls deep magic that was established, and it's not magic in the sense of, the evil stuff. It's just a statement of saying these are the truths that can never be shaken, and goodness must triumph over evil. That is what's going to happen. And William Wilberforce made it his life's mission not only to end transatlantic slavery, but to make goodness fashionable. So amongst other things, he started the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which was an extraordinary thing in the 19th century. So we're in the wake of that storm, really. And I believe we are going to be making that transformation in our nation. And you ladies, all your team, you're part of it. You are making history. You are history changers, and you are going to get a massive reward not too far from now. It will happen. So be strong, be encouraged, and continue.
God bless you, Dr. Chad. Thank you.
Set me right up that.
It has, and thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, it
really means a lot. I know how busy you are, and thank you for taking time out of your day for us.
Well, thank you very much, and God bless you all and all of your team.
Thank you so much.
God bless you, Dr. Chan. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What are we doing?
Lovely in these.